Viante, New Mexico, giving you our weekly Viante update. There are three things I want to touch on this video. First, Viante's priority bills. Second, what's going on at the Roundhouse right now, how the legislators are interacting with one another and what they're working on. And then finally, what we can expect in the final less than a week to the 54th legislative session. So to kick it off, our Viante priority bills. So this year, Viante's Board of Directors is approaching things a little bit differently. Previously, with our first two scorecards, we selected all 15 of our focus bills after the session. That was done for a variety of reasons, primarily because the bills can go through such changes during the session. They wanted to make sure that they picked bills that were in line with what we were doing and didn't change as much. However, this year, the board has decided to select three what we have called priority bills that would be strong contenders to end up in our 15 focus bills. So that way I stand up in committee and I talk to the legislators about why we feel that those bills would move the needle in education, crime, and quality of life in our state. The first bill that we chose within education is Senate Bill 96. It's an online school budget reporting bill that would require the publication of budgets not only at the district level, which is happening, but also at the school level. We see millions of dollars being appropriated to our school system, but we don't have a lot of transparency tools to see that it's making it into the classroom and getting into the hands of the students that really need the help, whether it's via supplies or additional instructional support, and in the schools that need it most as well. This transparency portal would allow for lawmakers, parents, constituents alike to see that information real time and to ensure that the money is being spent appropriately. The crime bill that we selected is House Bill 156. It's the crime of illegally dismantling stolen vehicles. This may sound familiar to you because last year in 2019, it came up in the 60-day session and it passed unanimously through the House and never got a hearing in the Senate. And what it would do is hold chop shop owners liable for knowingly purchasing stolen vehicles. In a state where we have #1 for property crime, a lot of our vehicles are stolen. This is something that we don't have, and there's about 15 other states across the country who do have this law on the books. So Viante's Board of Directors felt like this was an important piece of legislation to eliminate that criminal pipeline and hold all responsible parties accountable for their decisions in this kind of bad behavior. Finally, within quality of life, the board has selected House Bill 44, the New Mexico Works and Saves Act. This was a bill championed by the nonprofit Think New Mexico. They released a report late last year about retirees in our state and how many of them are impoverished or many don't even save for retirement. And so what this bill would do is set up a system where employers could have employees contribute to retirements and actually do that for thinking and future planning when it comes to money. Something that the Viante board felt was very important as we're trying to climb out of the 50th, 49th spots when it comes to poverty, seniors living in poverty, and people just not having a lot of money saved up for the future. So those are our priority bills. I stand up in committee. I tell the legislators that Viante finds this bill to be very important and it's a strong contender to be graded on. So I've done that 2 times thus far on 2 bills, and it went through unanimously, so we'll see if it works. We're very excited about it. I also want to take time in this video to talk about the pressure cooker, which is the Roundhouse. I use the term pressure cooker because I read it in an article earlier this week where tensions are really rising. Not only do legislators have to work really hard to get their legislation across the finish line, they're also responsible for hearing a great deal of legislation of what people are equally passionate about. And there's been a few committees thus far that I have seen members within the same party snip at each other because they have a lot to do, not a lot of patience sometimes, and that just tells me and tells everyone else in the room that we're coming down to the wire. And so as we do that, we have less than a week left of the session. It ends on Thursday the 20th at noon. And they still have to work on the budget as well. The budget, as I had mentioned in last week's video, was passed by the House, but now there are some news reports about it not being balanced. And now the Senate has to do some cuts to it to get it balanced, but also evaluating what kind of projects are funded in it and seeing if they want to put new projects in. And so the Senate has a hefty task ahead of them. Once they pass a budget that they feel is what New Mexico needs going into the next year, it will go back to the House to be ratified and then onto the governor's desk. But again, very short turnaround there. They have a lot of work to do within less than a week. So those tensions I was talking about earlier will probably get even more high. And we're just anxiously awaiting to see what kind of spending our government wants to do for the next year and how that's going to impact our education, crime, and quality of life in our state. On a final note, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. I've gotten great feedback from a lot of folks, not just my family, saying that these videos are helpful. And if there are anything or any topics that you'd like me to address or are unsure about, please reply to our email and let us know. And I'll do my very best to answer those questions for you. I'm also very grateful that you tune in because we're trying very, very hard to be a nonpartisan source of information for folks who are unable to engage with what's happening in Santa Fe on a regular basis. And I can tell you firsthand that there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's quite frustrating for me being in the room and seeing later, whether it be in the news or from legislators themselves, mischaracterizing what had happened, where they pin a lot of the blame on one party or the other, and it's really not that cut and dry. There's a lot more to it, a lot of moving parts, and I think by engaging via these videos and paying attention to what our legislators do real time, I hope is helpful to you so you can sift through what is actually happening and what might just be headline grabbing. So thank you again. Next week, our final week of the session, I will check back in with you all and give you an update of what happened. Thank you so much.